Manhattan State Representative Mike Dodson is calling it a career, saying he will not seek another term in the State House. K-Man's AJ Shaw with more on that story.
In a statement to K-Man, Dodson said he had been proud to represent the 67th District with a goal of communicating widely and honestly across all constituencies and to support legislation that would improve the quality of life for all Kansans and the generations that will come after us. Dodson, a Republican, was elected to the House in 2020, succeeding Tom Phillips. Prior to serving in the House, he was on the Manhattan City Commission from 2015 to 2020, serving 2 terms as mayor. 78-year-old Dodson says with the exception of 10 years after retirement from the Army, he's been in the military or public service since 1966 and is looking forward to spending more time with his family. For News Radio KMAN, I'm AJ Shaw.
Dodson's opponent 2 years ago was Kim Zito, who has announced she's running again to seek the 67th District. Zito claims Dodson's views haven't represented the views of many constituents.
In the course of those 2 years, we have seen so much demise and harm come down from our state legislature that, quite honestly, the cost of doing nothing is just too high. And I have to run again because that is the only way, is to build our numbers in order to stop the harm that they are trying to implement.
Zito points specifically to the district's overwhelming opposition to a proposed anti-abortion amendment to the state constitution in 2022, which Dodson was supportive of. Zito also is advocating for Medicaid expansion, property tax relief, and fully funding public schools and special education. We'll have the full interview with Kim Zito coming up during In Focus this morning. That'll also be archived at newsradiokman.com. After receiving 5 submittals for consulting on an upcoming comprehensive plan, Riley County Commissioners have narrowed that list to 2 potential firms, and they're targeting early next month to have a selection in place. The county has opted to interview Olson and Stantec based on the selection committee's evaluation scores and discussion. Commission Chair John Ford says both made good presentations to the county initially.
I think to get to where we want to end up at with all of this and what's important, I think they had the best vision for it.
Commissioner Greg McKinley says he liked that both companies shared a more rural focus in their planning vision.
They've done a lot of counties. They've done a lot of counties in Kansas and Nebraska. The others have done a lot of cities and a lot of big cities, which don't apply.
Riley County will look to enter a contract at its June 3rd meeting with one of those 2 firms, with a plan to be adopted no later than June 30th of next year. Wamego officials have shared some updates regarding the city's ongoing street project. Vine Street will be open to local traffic through June, though certain areas will be no parking zones until sidewalks and driveways get completed. These will be done approximately 1 block at a time, according to city officials. Daily no parking hours will be noted on Vine Street from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. until all construction is complete. The city says they're aiming to have all work on Vine Street completed by August. As for future street work, Chestnut Street remains on schedule, and city officials say more information will be provided as work progresses there. The city says updates on the Walnut and Spruce Street projects will be shared as work on Vine and Chestnut Streets nears completion. AAA is estimating that 43.8 million people will travel this Memorial Day weekend, making it the second highest total ever estimated by the company. In their estimate, more than 488,000 Kansans are estimated to hit the road, with over 423,000 traveling by car. AAA's Sean Stewart says relatively low gas prices are factoring in.
We're really looking at good gas prices here in Kansas especially. We're at $3.13 a gallon on average, and that's about 10 cents less than where we were a year ago. And that puts us right now about 5th cheapest in the country, about 45 cents less than the national average.
Now, if you're staying home this Memorial Day weekend, there are plenty of activities going on in our area, which you can check out at newsradiokman.com. Among them, Saturday will include the Bill Snyder Highway Half Marathon and 5K starting at 7 a.m. There's a free summer bash at City Park from 5 until 8, which will include inflatables, games, food trucks, and more, hosted by New Hope Church. On Sunday at City Park, there will be DJ in the Park featuring food trucks, ice cream, as well as free swim passes for kids. That'll be taking place from 3 until 7 Sunday at City Park. On Memorial Day, American Legion will host its program at Sunset Cemetery, which will feature a live performance by the Manhattan Municipal Band at 9:30, followed by the ceremony at 10. The band will then perform a second concert that evening at 7:30 in City Park. The Kansas Veterans Cemetery at Fort Riley Memorial Day program at 10 a.m. will feature Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Coco and Samantha DeVoe from the Travis Manion Foundation. And Fort Riley's Memorial Day observance is planned for 11:40 that morning at the Post Cemetery. Colonel Terry Tillis, 1st Infantry Division Deputy Commanding Officer, will provide remarks. Kansas Gold Star military families are being hosted in Washington, D.C. this Memorial Day weekend by Senator Roger Marshall. The project being done in conjunction with his office and the Gold Star Family Support Fund of Kansas, a fund of the Armed Forces Community Foundation. Christine Benny is the Military Relations Coordinator for the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation.
We were able to raise over $30,000 to take the soldiers' families to D.C. I was able to write a grant for $25,000. We were awarded that back in March. We applied for it really right after the first of the year, so it was a quick turnaround.
Activities will include a private tour of the Capitol Saturday evening, organized by Senator Marshall himself, followed by a rededication ceremony Sunday morning of the 1st Infantry Division Monument expansion. Senator Marshall is hosting the families of Specialist Joseph Lister, Staff Sergeant Zach Hargrove, Private First Class William Johnson, and Sergeant Kevin Gilbertson.
K-State's run in the Big 12 tournament in Arlington, Texas, wraps up in the quarterfinals in a loss to TCU. With a wrap-up of yesterday's action, here is Matt Walters.
Too much Ben Abelt, too much early offense for TCU on Thursday as the Horned Frogs end at Kansas State's run in the Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament by a final of 9-4. TCU would jump out to a 6-0 lead. Abelt was magnificent. He worked 5, struck out 9, and did not issue a walk in getting his 3rd win of the season. It was just the 2nd start in Abelt's career as he's been TCU's closer for 2 years. The Cats tried to mount a comeback, got 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th to draw within 7-4, but that would be it for the Wildcats, who closed at 32-24, and now K-State awaits its postseason fate. The NCAA Selection Committee announcement will come Monday morning at 11:30. Again, the final yesterday in Arlington, TCU 9, K-State 4. I'm Matt Walters, News Radio KMAN.
Meanwhile, KU lost to Oklahoma 7-5, so it's KU and TCU in elimination game. That'll be this morning at 9 a.m. Let's head to state softball and baseball. In a near 4-hour game, Wamego softball is moving on in the 4A semifinals after a 17-inning, 2-1 win over Clearwater in Salina. And delivering a pure spectacle of a lifetime on the mound, Wamego junior Peyton Hardenberger, a commit to Tennessee, believe it or not, threw a complete game. Here's Wamego head coach Luke Meyer.
2 pitchers pitched the whole game between Clearwater and Peyton. 3 hits, 30 strikeouts. It was pretty impressive performance.
Do you know her pitch count?
She finished at 199 and still wasn't giving up hits. She's as good as it gets, man.
It was Wamego's Kyra Olberding who had the game-winning hit. It was a walk-off in the bottom of the 17th to win it for Wamego. Now, unfortunately, Wamego will not be playing Rock Creek in Friday's semifinals. The Mustangs lost to Eudora in a close 2-1 contest. And that'll wrap up Rock Creek's phenomenal season at a record of 19-6. Wamego will face 3-seed Eudora in the semifinals today at 1 p.m. in Salina. The winner will play either Andale or Circle in the state title game at 5 o'clock. Wamego's looking for back-to-back state championships. At 4A state baseball in Salina, the 1-seed Rock Creek Mustangs are on their way to the semifinals as well after a 5-3 win over Tonganoxie. That improves Rock Creek's record season to 26-1. Rock Creek will play Paola this morning at 11 a.m. in the semifinals. Winner will play either Pratt or Abilene for a state championship at 5:45. The Mustangs are looking for their first state championship since 2021 and 3rd all-time. Meanwhile, state track and field will get underway this morning in a 2-day event at Cessna Stadium in Wichita, which will feature all 6 of our local high schools. Manhattan High will be taking 38 athletes to compete in 30 events. Head coach Corey Kuhl says this is what they've been working for all year.
We work all year for this moment, and when you can stack virtual meets and look at everybody's PRs and everything, but it just comes down to who shows up on that day. And regardless of where we finish as a team, we all want to show up and do our best, and the results are going to fall where they fall.
And I will have live updates from Wichita all day today and tomorrow. Bobby Witt Jr. and the Kansas City Royals aim to continue their torrid ways today when they open up a 3-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays in St. Pete. Witt followed up his 2-homer, 6 RBI performance on Tuesday with a 2-run double in Kansas City's 8-3 win over the Detroit Tigers on Wednesday. Witt's contributions have helped the Royals outscore their foes by a 45-18 margin during their 6-game winning streak. They have scored at least 8 runs in each of the last 4 games. The Rays, who had a 4-game winning streak, followed that up with a 4-game losing streak. Royals will start Seth Lugo on the hill. Pre-game coverage at 5 o'clock. First pitch at 5:50 here on KMAN. The Royals are 32-19 and a game and a half back in the AL Central. The NCAA and its Power 5 conferences have agreed to allow schools to directly pay players for the first time in the 11-plus year history of college sports. The NCAA and its leagues are moving forward with a multi-billion-dollar agreement to settle 3 pending federal antitrust cases. The NCAA will pay more than $2.7 billion in damages over 10 years to past and current athletes. According to ESPN, the parties also have agreed to a revenue-sharing plan, allowing each school to share up to roughly $20 million per year with its athletes. I'm Mitch Fortner with sports on News Radio KMAN.